over the next couple of months, like through October and November, I think we're really going to see the ride begin. I think everything that we've seen up to this point has simply been in preparation for that. And I think that's what we're going to see in October or November, maybe the 5th of November. Remember the 5th of November. Could be a good day to do things, you know. It wouldn't surprise me if they were to pick a date like that. I don't know what it's going to be though, but it's going to be something unprecedented. Something that's going to make 9/11 look like a walk in the park. I don't even know whether it'll be a terror attack or anything like that. I don't know whether it'll be any type of war. I don't know what they're going to stage, or I don't know what is actually coming. But something really big is coming. And as I've stressed so many times, you know, we get to a point where you've got to really see the writing on the wall, folks. I mean, it's a huge opportunity. It's a time of huge opportunity for freedom. But I think this system has to completely crumble before that's ever going to happen. They're really pushing to create their whole technocratic new world order. And a lot of people will go into that, but you know, I can't see how it's going to survive. I really can't. But the only way it's really going to not survive is through some major form of upheaval. I mean, you want to know how to really stop the whole thing from coming online, how to stop this whole control grid in its tracks right now. Like I said before, folks, shut down the internet. Think that's going to happen? Of course it's not going to happen. I mean, the internet's been great. It's done wonderful things. We've had access to all sorts of information. I couldn't be talking to you. You know, I've met so many people around the world. I've traveled to so many places, lecturing, done all sorts of things. You know, I wouldn't be living in this little place that I live in if it wasn't for the internet. You know, it's just a little rental that I live in, but hey, I'll be living here forever, I would say, folks. I can't envisage myself ever moving from this place. You know, it's done wonderful things for us, the internet, but by the same token, we've given our dependency over to it so much, and it is becoming such a controlling aspect of our lives. And now with this whole technocratic tracking system that's coming online, well, it's set to become even more a controlling aspect of our lives. You know, and if you shut down the internet and shut down the televisions, the whole pandemic could go away. All we'd have would be newspapers then, folks, like it used to be in the old days. Newspapers, possibly radio, you know. And be an interesting world, wouldn't it? You know, if we didn't have the fear campaign being generated by the media, which is just over the top, fear in every aspect of our lives, most of the problems in the world would go away. I mean, you know, when you're kind of there in your space, I mean, out here, I wouldn't even know that there was problems with the world. You know, I don't realise it until I go into town. And then even when I go into town, most people I talk to know it's a fraud. There's only one person that I've spoken to, and I speak to everybody, every shop that I go to, and I go out almost every day. But every shop that I go to, I talk to people about this, and they go, you know it's a fraud, don't you? And they all know it's a fraud. I got some new glasses a couple of weeks ago, and the optometrist knew it was a fraud. You know, this is pretty out of left field. Everybody I speak to, there's only been one checkout operator who said, oh, you think? And by the end of the conversation, she actually was starting to agree that there was a few aspects that maybe she should look into. So that's kind of comforting. By the same token though, how are we ever going to stop it from just coming online if we've got this huge media spin being driven? I mean, even if everybody thought it was a fraud, if the television tells them that, oh no, everybody believes it's real and the opinion polls say this, and so this is what the government's doing, and people are happy with the government's response to the pandemic, then all the people who think it's a fraud are going to think, well, shit, everybody around me thinks it's real, so maybe I better not say anything. But they don't know that. It's just the media telling them that. How do they know any of it's true? I mean, nothing the media tells you is true. Why would any of that be true? You know, so if you are awake, I mean, don't think you're alone. I mean, I get emails from a lot of people who say, well, my parents think it's real, and, you know, my family thinks it's real. Don't despair though, folks, because there's a lot of people who don't. And look at the US Revolution, the American Revolution. It only took, 1% or 3% or something. There's some ridiculously small amount of the population to win the revolution. So it's not over yet. The big problem, as I said, is the breakdown of the food chain, because even if people do wake up, if they haven't got these supplies in place and they haven't sort of read the writing on the wall and got themselves ready for what's coming, well, like I said, we've got to get to that point where we see the writing on the wall. We realise that a lot of people aren't going to wake up. A lot of people will, a lot of people won't. But however it goes, we are most definitely heading for unprecedented times. We're heading for unprecedented food shortages, whichever way it goes. Even if we stop the system right now, even if all the Q-tubers were right and the children were really being rescued from the sewers and we were really winning, all of the food chain is breaking down. And it's still happening. I mean, even if, okay, so sorry about the vegans, but for all the meat eaters out there, there's an abattoir, I think, just west of Brisbane, where they just put off 600 workers the other day because someone tested positive for COVID. It's meat production, it's food for people who eat meat. And the farms are breaking down, the vegetables aren't being grown, they're not being picked. They're culling the chickens in Victoria. They've just burnt out all the forests. They're breaking down the food chain, folks. It doesn't matter what you eat, whether you're a vegan, whether you're a meat eater, whether you're a vegetarian, what you eat, whatever it is you eat, they're making sure that that's going out of production, okay? Abattoirs, farms, grain storage, rice production. They're saying Australia will run out of rice by Christmas time. They're already saying on mainstream media that people should prepare for a very different Christmas this year. They're not going to have the amount of food that they would normally have. So through all of it, folks, we've got to realise that this is happening. Even if the whole world was to wake up, realise that this is a provable fraud that's being run here, and we were to pull our governments out of power and put new people in charge, well, we've got to get the food chain back up and running pretty damn quickly for it to make any real difference at all. That's what a lot of people aren't noticing through all this. Now, that's one of the reasons I think they're making the lockdown so brutal everywhere. So that's the focus that people have. They're not looking beyond that. They're not looking at the bigger picture.